Hi everyone, in today's class we'll see customized serialization. Guys, in the previous classes we have seen what is the meaning of serialization, deserialization, and also we have gone through how to use the transient keyword. What is the advantage of the transient keyword, and can we able to use transient keyword along with static or final keywords. This is what we have seen the earlier concepts, right? So in today's class we'll go with customized serialization. So here we may get question, what is the need of this customized serialization? Suppose for example, if I am going to have a data something like int a equal to 535 and something like int b equal to some 100, it might be, right? And I made this as transient. Right? Now, if I am going to make it serialization, how the data is going to be saved? Data is going to be saved something like a value is 535 and b value is going to be 0. Because the reason why it has 0 means transient means I don't want to save it in my file or over the network or whatever it might be. When you are going to perform deserialization, you are going to get the a value as 535 and b value as 0, which means that here if you are able to observe, you have the data as 535 and b value is 100, but here you lost the data or not, right? So which means to avoid the losing of the data, we can go for customized serialization, right? So how we are going to achieve it means, so basically the simple logic here, instead of saving like this, what we can do now, we can make some data in the form of encrypted format, so that you can get actual data, right? How we are going to do it means, I will show it with an example. Let us try to create a simple class. The class name is customized serializable example, and this class is responsible to execute the business logic. So I am trying to write here main method, and I am going to have one more class taking the class name is something like data. Okay, now this class is having, so I think data class is already there, so I am going to refactor this one, refactor, rename data of serialization. Just I am giving some meaningful name, that's it. We can continue. So it was done. Now it contains data something like int a equal to 535 as per discussion, int password. I am thinking that my password is going to be 100, right? Now I want to serialize this one. If you want to serialize this one, what you can do, guys, you can go with creating the object here, data of serialization, d equal to new data of serialization. Yes, done. Created the object. Now I want to make it serialization, right? To make it serialization, we have to go with the 3 steps. So once I make it serialization, I will go with the deserialization to show the output for you, right? So in serialization, first you have to create file output stream, which is one java.io package, fos equal to new file output stream of, you have to pass the path where you want to write the data, and then you have to go with the object output stream os equal to new object output stream. There I am going to pass FOS as object, and through this object output stream I am going to call write object method, write object of what you want to write. I want to write D object, right? Yes. But here the question is where you have to write, right? So I can go with execution part. Here I am trying to copy it, path, and then I am going to paste it. The file name is file1.txt. I am using the same file. So now this file output stream, you are going to get exception. So that is checked exception, and you have to have throw again. Fine. So this is what we did with serialization. Now coming to deserialization, you need to go with again file input stream. Guys, yeah, if you know this already, you can just forward the video. FIS equal to new file input stream, and from which file you want to read the data. I would like to show something what is going to be happen when you are going to go with the serialization along with the transient keyword. Next, object input stream OI is equal to new object input stream of FIS, and through this object I am going to read my data. Read object, right? That read object you need to be saved somewhere, right? So it is going to return an object, so you have to cast it again. I will go with the data of serialization class d1 d object or d object equal to, I am going to write like data of serialization. I am trying to convert because the response you are going to get in the form of what? So you have to handle the exception again, class not found exception. Then this out of data is plus d object dot. So I think you need to have the a, and then I am going to have separate comma operator, and then I am going to have d object dot password. If you are able to observe this particular execution, is it going to be executed successfully? Probably it is not. Why? What might be the reason? Just think. If you want to have implemented the serialization concept, the class or machine should be serializable, right? So it has to be implements serializable, right? What is the need of serializable? Is a kind of marker interface. If I am going to execute it now, you are going to expect the result as 535 comma 100. 535 comma 100. It is because you haven't used any kind of transient keyword anywhere. For example, I am using here transient keyword. Transient keyword meaning that I don't want to save my password in the file or network or in the database. So that is where we are going to use the transient keyword. Now you can observe a value is 535 and the password is going to be 0, right? So as you are using transient keyword, you may think that your data might be lost. Your data might be lost. Am I right or not? Yes. So in this scenario, we are moving for customized serialization. So as my data is losing, I want to get back this one. Even I am going to use the transient keyword. Use the transient keyword. Then what you can do now, guys? Just think about this one. If I am going to give some logic, I will try to send my b value to here, so that even if I am going to use the transient keyword, my b value is going to be get 0. After getting the 0, I am going to modify this b value as 100. That I am going to take it from this object. Can I do it? Yes. But here you may get one question. If I am going to send in some kind of direct value password directly, somebody may can hack, right? So what I can do? I can do it some kind of encrypted format. Means for the original value I am going to add one more 100 so that I can get the 200. If somebody try to access the 200, they may think that yes, it might be 200 password is, but it is not, right? So then once we retrieve, once we deserialize, you are going to get a value 535, b value 0, and to get the actual data, b value is 200. But you know, while serialization we made it as 100 plus 100, so we can make subtract 100 so that you can get the value 100. Right? So to make some kind of modification in the serialization concept, we can get the concept of customized serialization. Right? So how we are going to do it? So let me take the procedure. So basically, you need to have a kind of methods are there. One is write object method is there, and read object method is there. Both are going to take. One is going to take object output stream as parameter. Another one is going to take object input stream as parameter. And these two are the methods are responsible for to make the customized serialization, guys. To make the customized serialization, and these are going to be called by the JVM inherently when they are going to be executed. The read object method and write object method. I mean, what I am trying to say now, whenever they are going to execute these things, read object method and write object method, they are going to be called inherently, so that they are going to be executed automatically. Right? So let me explain with an example so that you can get clear idea. See, this is what you understood, right? Now, once the write object method is going to be executed, it will internally call a predefined method called whose structure will look like this: private void write object of object output stream, OOS. Right? So this will throw some kind of exception. Let me tell that. So then once I try to write, once it is going to call the write object, what I have to do? I have to place the default values. Default write object. What is the purpose of this one? Whenever this write object is going to call internally this write object method, it has to place first what values? Default values. Those default values are something like 535 comma 0. Once it places the default values, it is throwing an error, it is throwing an exception because it has to handle IO exception. Yes, it is going to place the default values. Once you place the default values in the file, we have to attach, right? So they are going to place 535 and 0. But in the object, can we able to place some other values? Yes, that thing I need to do. So what I will do now, I need to save the password in some format, right? So int modified password equal to I am going to simply make use of password plus 100 so that it is going to be 200. Now I am going to use write int of modified password. That's it. So what will happen here? In the object 535 comma 0 are there serialized, and in non-serialized location you are going to get the value as 200. The value as 200 with the variable name as modified password 200. Okay, fine. Similarly, while performing deserialization, that read object method is going to call once again this predefined read object method, which is going to accept object input stream OIS, and I need to place what? Default values again. OIS dot default read object. Right? It should be OIS. Right? So again it needs to throw an error, throw an exception, class not found exception, and IO exception. Right? So means, let me tell once again, you are trying to serialize the values of a value 535 and password is going to be 100. While serialization, it is going to call what method? Write object method. Write object method, right? This write object method internally calls what method? This write object method. And this write object internally calls again default write object, means which is going to place 535 and 0. 535 and 0. Then it is going to create a variable called modified password value, and that value it is going to place here. Modified password equal to 100 plus 100, that is 200. Yes, good. Then while performing deserialization, it is going to call a method called a read object method. This read object internally calls which method again? This method. So it is going to call once again the default read object. So what you are going to get defaultly as again 535 and 0. But the reason for customized relation is because of to overcome this loss of data. Like instead of having the 0, I need to get the value as 100. So how we are going to get this 100? This 100 you can able to get this kind of encryption, right? This encryption, if you are able to modify it 200 to 100, then are we going to achieve the actual data or not? Yes. That is the way you have to write the code here. So in order to write the code, what we can do now? So let me try to read the data. OS dot read object, or what is the data type we have used there? Read int, right? While saving, read int, and then here you are going to get int modified password, right? So this modified password you can make use of it. Password equal to, what you have to do? You have to decrypt again. Modified password minus 100. Modified password minus 100. That's it, right? So that you can get the actual data. Hope you understood, guys. So it's a simple. If you are going to execute it, you are going to get again. See, observe. Actually, you performed the serialization. Even you perform the serialization 535, 100 you got. It is because of, let me tell once again the simple procedure what we did in the form of simple diagram, right? So we have a data 535 and password is 100. We are going to make it serialization using write object. But this write object internally calling again write object, which is taking the parameters as object output string, which will internally call what? Placing the default values, right? So while placing the default values, it is going to place what? Actual serialization mechanism is going to happen. 535 and 0. Good. 535 and 0. Then we try to avoid the loss of data. That is why we are going to make some kind of encryption. We are trying to do encryption. We are trying to make 100 value as 200, and which is going to be saved in the file. Then we are going to make it deserialization. In deserialization, we are going to call read object method. This read object method internally calls read object method of object input stream. This object input stream of read object method is internally calling again default read object. While reading the default read object, what you are going to get? You are going to get the actual values 535 and 0. 535 and 0. But do we really have this data? We are losing, right? So to get the actual data, we are trying to store some kind of encrypted format. So for that, what we can do? We are trying to get this data and trying to replace this value with 200 minus 100, that is 100. So when you try to print the data, then you are going to get 535, 100. This is the concept, what we can call it as customized serialization. This is for our friendly purpose only, not for actual serialization concept. Okay, fine. Hope you understood clearly. Thank you.